Hello, this is Chapter 12, Corporate Culture and Leadership. Our learning objectives understand the key features of a company's corporate culture and the role of a company's core values and ethical standards in building corporate culture. Explain how and why a company's culture can aid the drive for proficient strategy execution. Identify the kinds of actions management can take to change a problem corporate culture. And lastly, recognize what constitutes effective managerial leadership in achieving superior strategy execution. Instilling a corporate culture conducive to good strategy execution. So, corporate culture is the meshing of shared values, beliefs, business principles, and traditions that imbues a firm's operating style, behavioral norms, ingrained attitudes, and work atmosphere. It's important because it influences the firm's actions and approaches to conducting its business. Identifying the key features of a company's corporate culture, well, these represent all features. So you've got values, principles, and ethical standards in actual use, management practices and organizational policies, atmosphere and spirit embodied in the firm's work climate, how managers and employees interact and relate to one another, strength of peer pressure to conform and observe norms, actions and behaviors encouraged and rewarded, traditions and stories and how we do things around here, and how the firm treats its stakeholders. Those are the features of corporate culture. The two culture building roles of a company's core values and ethical standards. So a company's stated core values and ethical principles are helping to foster a work climate where company personnel share common and strongly held convictions about how the company's business is to be conducted, and it provides company personnel with guidance about how to do their jobs, steering them towards both doing things right and doing the right thing. Embedding behavioral norms in the organization and perpetuating the culture. Screen applicants and hire those who will mesh well with the culture. Incorporate discussions of the company's culture and its behavioral norms into orientation programs for new employees and training courses for managers and employees. Have senior executives frequently reiterate the importance and role of the company's values and ethical principles at the company events and in internal communications to employees. Expect managers at all levels to be cultural role models and exhibit advocated cultural norms in their own behavior. Make the display of cultural norms a factor in evaluating each person's job performance, granting compensation increases and offering promotions. Stress that line managers all the way down to first-level supervisors give ongoing attention to explaining the desired cultural traits and behaviors in their areas and clarifying why they are important. Encourage company personnel to exert strong peer pressure on coworkers to conform to expected cultural norms. Hold periodic ceremonies to honor people who excel in displaying the company's values and ethical features. Forces that cause a firm's culture to evolve. Technology, marketplace challenges, new businesses, growth, mergers, internal conditions. These are all causes of cultural change that helps a company evolve. Strong versus weak cultures. In a strong culture firm, it has deeply rooted, widely shared values, behavioral norms, and operating approaches. Insist that its values and principles be reflected in the decisions and actions taken by all company personnel. In a weak culture firm, it lacks values and principles that are consistently preached or widely shared. Has few or no traditions, beliefs, values, common bond, or behavioral norms. In the development of a strong culture, closely aligning corporate culture with the requirements for proficient strategy execution merits the full attention of senior executives. In a strong culture, a founder or strong leader has strong values and a commitment by the firm for ethical behavior. Why corporate cultures matter to the strategy execution process. A culture that is well matched to the chosen strategy and the requirements of the strategy execution effort focuses the attention of employees on what is most important to this effort. Culture-induced peer pressure further induces personnel to do things in a manner that aids the cause of good strategy execution. A culture that is consistent with the requirements for good strategy execution energizes employees, deepens their commitment to execute the strategy flawlessly, and enhances worker productivity. Healthy cultures that aid good strategy execution. You have good strategy execution, you have performance, high performance cultures, adaptive cultures. In high performance cultures is a commitment to achieving stretch objectives and accountability. In adaptive cultures, it's a willingness to accept change and take on challenges. Illustration capsule 12.1, Puma's high performance culture. What steps in building its high performance work culture did Puma take out to innovate and outpace its formidable rivals? Which are the benefits that Puma appeals the most to your personal work-life balance? And which of the benefits are likely to cause the most pronounced cultural change in an organization? And you can take a look at that in our textbook. Unhealthy cultures that impede good strategy execution. Well, unhealthy cultures have incompatible subcultures. They also are change-resistant cultures, and they're politicized cultures. They're insular, inwardly focused cultures, unethical and greed-driven cultures. So poor performance, poor strategy execution, unhealthy cultures, incompatible subcultures. Changing a problem culture. The role of leadership. A strong, out of sync, or unhealthy culture must be changed to execute strategy successfully. Competent leadership at the top is necessary for culture change efforts to succeed. How do you change a problem culture? Well, there's certain steps that one should take. Step one, identify facets of the present culture that are dysfunctional and impede good strategy execution. Number two, specify clearly what actions, behaviors, and work practices should characterize the new culture. Step three, talk openly and persuasively about the problems with the present culture and how new behaviors will improve performance. Step four, follow with visible, forceful actions, both substantive and symbolic, to ingrain a new set of behaviors, practices, and norms. Make a compelling case for culture change. You've got to sell the change. You have to explain why and how certain behavioral norms and work practices are obstacles to good execution of strategic initiatives. Explain how new behaviors and work practices will produce better results. If the need for cultural change is due to a change in strategy, cite reasons why the current strategy has to be modified. And in substantive culture changing actions, the following can take place. Replace key executives who are resisting or obstructing needed organizational and cultural changes. Promote individuals who support cultural shifts and can serve as role models for cultural behavior. Appoint outsiders with the desired cultural attributes to high-profile positions. Screen all candidates for positions carefully, hiring only those who appear to fit in with the new culture. Mandate that all personnel attend culture training. Design compensation incentives that boost the pay of teams and individuals who support culture change. Revise policies and procedures to drive cultural change. Symbolic culture changing actions, change in the culture of an organization, top executive and upper management behaviors, ceremony events to honor exemplary employees, physical symbols that represent the new culture. So how long does it take to change a problem culture? Changing a problem culture is never a short-term exercise. A sustained and persistent effort to reinforce the culture at every opportunity through word and deed is required. It takes time for a new culture to emerge and prevail. It takes even longer for it to become deeply embedded. Fixing a problem culture and instilling a new set of attitudes and behaviors can literally take 2 to 5 years. Illustration capsule 12.2, driving cultural change at Goldman Sachs. What steps did the Chief Learning Officer take to begin the cultural transformation at Goldman Sachs? What steps did top managers take to demonstrate their commitment to the new culture and to reinforce the personnel and process changes they implemented? Which actions are likely to cause the most pronounced cultural change in an organization? Leading the strategy execution process. Leading strategy execution requires staying on top of what is happening and closely monitoring the progress. Putting constructive pressures on the organization to execute its strategy well and achieve operating excellence. And initiating corrective actions to improve strategy execution and achieve the targeted performance results. Staying on top of how things are going. Management by walking around, MBWA, is used by leaders to stay informed about how well the strategy execution is progressing. It involves spending time with people at company facilities, asking questions, listening to their opinions and concerns, and gathering firsthand information about how well aspects of the strategy execution process are going. Mobilizing the effort for excellence in strategy execution. Treat employees with dignity and respect as valued partners. Foster an esprit de corps that energizes members. Use empowerment and delegation to create a fully engaged workforce. And use a range of motivational techniques and compensation incentives to inspire company personnel and reward high performance. Use benchmarking, re-engineering, TQM, and Six Sigma tools to focus attention on continuous improvement. Use motivational techniques and compensation incentives to inspire a results-oriented work climate focused on achieving high standards. And lastly, celebrate individual, group, and company successes. Leading the process of making corrective adjustments. Making corrective actions successfully requires 1. A thorough analysis of the situation. 2. Good business judgment in deciding what actions to take. And the last, good implementation of the corrective actions. Final word on leading the process of crafting and executing strategy. It's difficult to separate leading the process of executing strategy from leading the strategy process. Crafting, implementing, and executing strategy is a continuous process that requires much adjustment and fine-tuning of the strategy to fit changing circumstances. The tests of strategic leadership are whether the firm has a good strategy and business model, whether its strategy is competently executed, and whether the firm is achieving its performance targets. If these three conditions exist, then one can confidently infer that the firm has good strategic leadership and is well managed enterprise. I thank you for listening.